Okay, I forgot to bring up my notes. Hold on, you guys. I took some notes. This is for, so tonight we don't have a crowd, just me, because apparently the only theater showing the mystery movie was AMC. Now, Paul from Off the Cover, I believe that he went, but he talked about maybe doing his own review or his own live stream. So I decided I'll go ahead and do my own live stream. I figured that if I enjoyed the movie enough, I would do a review of it. I'm not feeling like I want to do a review of it, you guys. It's a little, I don't know, feels, I'm still processing my thoughts about this movie, and I'm going to see if I can bring up the picture without it being weird. So hold on. There we go. The movie tonight was a film called Magazine Dreams. I can make it bigger. There we go. Magazine Dreams. If you guys also, if you can't hear me, let me know, please. I think everything's right. But the movie tonight was Magazine Dreams. I had not heard of this movie until it started playing. So, it stars Jonathan Majors. I'll make myself a little bit. It stars Jonathan Majors, and I recognized a face or two in the film besides his, but I can't tell you where I've seen them. So I'll start off with some of the positives. Hey Tucker, how you doing? Oh, let me just not say I'll start off with the positives. Let me give you the synopsis. Basically, the film is about this bodybuilder who has these dreams. He wants to be on a magazine. He wants to be on a fitness magazine. He wants to be Mr. Olympia. And so it shows how he's training and at the same time working, you know, because he works like a grocery store, and he's training. He's taking steroids. He's training. And he has some stuff is going on with his body because of all this, what he's putting himself through for these competitions. It shows him competing in a competition, and it takes a big toll on him. It also delves into his personal life a lot. So you figure out very early on that he's got problems. He has social problems. He cannot interact with people on a normal level, you know, that most people can interact with each other. So you can tell right away. At first I wondered, well, is he autistic, or does he have Asperger's, or like what? He's got there's some sort of problem. And I'm not quite sure if it was really something like that, or if he just had mental issues. And I feel like some of it ties back to what he mentioned about his parents, something that happened with his parents when he was a kid, I think. And so he lives with his papa, or his pop-pop, or whatever he calls him, his grandfather. He loves his grandfather, takes good care of him, or as good as he can, and he's working at this job. But he develops this fixation on another bodybuilder that he admires from afar, and he writes this guy, you know, I'm your greatest fan, that sort of thing. So right away you're feeling like, I was torn between a mixture of feeling sorry for him and being pretty creeped out by him, because you can kind of tell the direction this thing is going to go. And for the positives of this film, I felt like Jonathan Majors did a really good job in here. He was very convincing at playing this emotionally stunted, emotionally challenged, socially stunted, or socially challenged person. He did a really good job at that. I felt like he was a good actor since I saw him in Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's really the first movie that I paid attention to him more as an actor, though I know I've seen him in other things before. And this one, I felt like he was really convincing in the role, and physically also very convincing, because he's built. He looks like a bodybuilder. I'm not so sure that he looks really like it shows him taking steroids. He kind of looked natural to me, but I don't know. Maybe he did have some chemical help in crafting his physique to look like this. I thought I saw somewhere that he ate 6,000 to 8,000 calories or something to get himself prepped for this, because when you're a bodybuilder, you have to eat a crap ton of calories. My brother's a bodybuilder, and he is always eating, like every 3 hours, practically on the dot. So he put himself into this movie, in a very positive way. You can, like, his hard work paid off. Now, this film apparently, I think they said it premiered at Sundance in 2023, but because of the controversy that happened with him, it got pulled, or got dropped. I think maybe Searchlight Pictures had picked it up. Some distribution company had picked it up. They dropped it when this thing happened. Now apparently it's coming out now. So this was filmed at least 2 or 3 years ago. I felt like he looked younger than he did in Ant-Man. So I think I read that in 2021 or 2020, in the early 2020s, was when he was officially attached to it. I don't remember when it said they started filming, but it's apparently been out. It's been done for a while, but it's just now coming out. So the cons. Well, the pros, okay, his acting, I felt like his acting was really good. I also did like that, well, especially in the beginning, you're kind of torn between feeling sorry for him and creeped out by him. And I could see why people felt creeped out by him. It shows him going on an awkward date with this girl that he likes, and then it shows that she is very, very creeped out by him. And with good reason, because you can just tell there's something, like, he is the type of guy that you hear bad things about in the news that has done something to a whole bunch of people. And this movie does dance with that. It flirts with that concept. Hey, Sashi, you got... Oh, yeah, that's right, we did. We jumped forward. We are now on sane time in my mind. I hate standard time. I like daylight savings time. So, okay, decided to pass on the movie tonight, not a verse. Yeah, well, I was very tempted to almost leave when it first was shown what it was, because, number one, I didn't have a commitment to watch it because I'm not doing a live stream tomorrow with the guys. But then I was like, well, I did set up the live stream to talk about it tonight, so let me just go ahead and watch it, and maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. Maybe this will be something that, ends up on my top 10. It's not going to end up on my top 10, but I have been very pleasantly surprised by many of the mystery movies I've seen, so I did want to give this a shot. There were people that left, but by the time the film was over, the theater that I was in still had a lot of people with their butts in seats. So I feel like maybe they liked it enough to stick around. But the cons, number one, the main con, it's way too long for the subject matter. It's 2 hours long, and 20 minutes into it, I'm already ready for it to be over. And I kept watching my clock. And I was like, oh gosh, I have got like an hour and 45 minutes left, Oh my gosh, I have like a whole hour and a half left. It felt so slow, because part of the reason, I guess, is maybe because I had this sense of dread the whole time watching it, because I felt like I knew exactly where it was going to go. And by that point, I had veered more away from feelings of sympathy for him and starting to not care too much for him as a main character. And it's weird because I was comparing this movie to Joker in my mind. And it's quite similar because they both have issues. And while Joker had not very many people that treated him okay in the film, and so he had this complete mental breakdown and just snapped and all that. This guy has some people that care for him and do try to help him to the best of their ability. But at the same time, you can see why the people that don't want to give him leeway, they've kind of lost patience with him, because he works at this store and you see him spitting in someone's pie that they order. And this is early on. This is before a lot of bad crap started to go down with him. Like, you see this spiral downward with him, and he's spitting in a customer's pie. And so later he talks about how, don't you just feel like like you're just not even there? You're beneath them. They're on the mountain, or whatever the heck he was saying. So you know that he's built up this resentment towards the people around him. And so by the time that became more evident, I started to veer more away from feeling sorry for him and more towards, oh goodness, I'm going to be given a protagonist that I don't like, I don't root for, I don't care about, and I just want this to be over. Yes, Sashi, I'm sorry, I just now saw your, oh yeah, you just posted it. Yeah, it's a movie about bodybuilding, but not 100%. It's really more a movie about this guy. He is so focused on this goal that he has. He'll do anything, doesn't matter. He will put himself through all sorts of stuff. He's told at one point he's got tumors on his liver. They're not cancerous, but they need to take them out. And he refuses because, I'm a bodybuilder, I can't have scars. But the thing about him is he's not all there mentally. And so it is really more, I feel, an exploration of this guy's, his declining mental health. And I thought I knew exactly where it was going to go. It didn't go completely in the direction that I thought, so I'm kind of glad. Honestly, I thought it was just gonna, I had all sorts of very bad ideas about where this was going to end up, and I was just going to be like, I absolutely hate this movie, because I felt no sympathy at all for him by the time it was done. But it didn't go in that direction, so it redeemed itself a skosh because of that. However, I kind of felt like, well, I would have liked to have seen what was really going to happen after, because you're sort of left on a little bit of a cliffhanger, not necessarily with what's going to happen in the immediate moment, but I would have liked to have seen what was going to happen with his life after this. And I feel like maybe if we had seen a little bit more of that, maybe I would have liked it a touch more than I did. The redeeming qualities of this film for me are Jonathan Majors' performance. I think if you're a Jonathan Majors fan, you might really enjoy watching this, because I cannot fault him at all for his performance. I thought he was great in here. I just didn't care too much for the story. Now, because I'm familiar with stuff about bodybuilding, I kind of was thinking about my brother while I'm watching this, and he did compete at one point. He doesn't anymore, but he's still bodybuilding. But I thought that they were going to go the route of maybe he had these rage issues, because he would act out, and he would get in legal trouble because he couldn't deal with things, and so his rage would just get the better of him. And I thought, oh, they're going to go the route of, well, the reason he's behaving this way is because of steroids. No, that wasn't what it was. I then was reading up some more about the ending of it, and the AI told me that people liked the messaging about toxic masculinity in the movie. And this movie was not about, to me, this movie was not at all about toxic masculinity. It wasn't even about anything about race, though that kind of comes up here and there when he's interacting with people. But a lot of this is because it's crap that he started. And so it really wasn't about that. I feel like it was just more about this guy's struggle with mental health. And though he did have what looked like a therapist or a social worker or somebody that was there to try to help him, nothing she did was helping him, because he would lie to her about what was going on in his life. So it was just like, after a while, you just kind of, well, for me anyway, my empathy levels just kind of, they weren't the same that they were in the very beginning. In the very beginning, I felt very sorry for him, and I was rooting for him, but it just became clear pretty early on that number one, he wasn't going to have what it took to get to the levels that he wanted to be. And then when that became evident, at that point it was like, okay, who all is he going to exterminate, as he has this terrible spiral downward. And fortunately, it didn't go, like I said, to the depths that I thought it would. But I just couldn't love this. Like, oh, Enigma, you said you were going to bed before I even started. So I kind of hesitate to give you guys complete spoilers about this, just in case you really want to. I mean, I don't hate it enough to completely spoil it, but I also don't love it enough to not tell you some of the stuff that I was telling you. So, obviously your mileage may vary. It doesn't have awful reviews. Like, let's say on Letterboxd, I think it's sitting at a 3.2, 4, or 5. So it's not terrible. On IMDb, I think it's got maybe 6.5. So not terrible, right? Sashi lies. So not terrible ratings with the audience. Let me see if it's even been rated yet on Rotten Tomatoes. Bear with me a moment. I'm curious. Magazine. Let me see. It might not have been rated yet, you guys. Oh, it has. Now, I want to say somehow this doesn't surprise me. This rating on Rotten Tomatoes is at 82%. I don't personally feel like this, and I understand the whole thing about the way Rotten Tomatoes works, but I don't know. If I had to give this a numerical score, my initial thought about this was 2 out of 5. Or 4 out of 10. And that too would be mostly because of Jonathan Major's performance. Just because I thought he was solid in here. And then by the time it was done, I think it raised up a little bit, maybe 2.5. I don't think I can go as high as a 3. So, obviously this is just my perception of it. The length, and another thing, there's a scene that happens with his idol, his bodybuilding idol, and it's disturbing and sad and really gross. But then after that, there is a scene that happens, like he's in a bar or some place with like a lounge where there's like some singing or something, and some random dude comes up to him. And they engage in this conversation, and then they go off to the bathroom, and the guy's like snorting coke, and they have this conversation, and just how conveniently this conversation ties into exactly what's going on in his head about stuff he wants to do to people and this name he wants to make for himself. That scene should have been cut completely out, because that felt 100% shoehorned in and forced, and did not feel organic at all to the story itself. So that was aggravating. But and by that point I felt like I knew exactly where it was going to go, and I was like, okay, I know what my score is going to be. It's going to be like a 2. I'm going to absolutely despise this movie, and maybe it'll go down to a 1, just because if it's really, really shitty. But it didn't go down. It redeemed itself just a tiny bit, but not enough for me to give this anything higher than probably a 2.5. Yeah, let's see, hold on. It's hard to rate these. I have been subbed to a number, but yeah. I feel like this is something I would like to recommend to my brother to watch. And I feel like I know what he will. I feel like he will have very similar thoughts about it that I have. But I don't know. Just curious. Yeah, I'm sure there's some toxic. Yeah, the guys which. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't want this movie to give anybody like negative feelings about bodybuilding. I do feel like this film does that a bit because it's showing like his obsession with it. But the bodybuilding itself is not the problem. He is the one with the problem, not the bodybuilding. So, you know, that's one of the reasons I kind of think that my brother will probably feel pretty similar about this. Let's see, but I do know that snorting would not be. Yeah, and it looked like there was a time where, okay, so in that particular scene, he was not snorting, but there was another scene before that that it looked like it showed him snorting something. So, you know, I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting. I mean, I'm glad to see this performance of his. I just wish it had been, I wish it had been wrapped up in a better story. So, anyway, I'll go ahead and stop sharing. I don't have a ton more to say about it, honestly. I don't have anybody here to bounce these thoughts off. I was wondering what Paul thought about it, but I haven't talked about it with him, so I guess I'll find out maybe when we chat or something on Twitter. If he has a live stream, maybe tomorrow, or does a review, obviously I will check out his review. I kind of feel like I'm in the minority on the audience viewpoint of this, just based on what I've seen on IMDb, what I've seen on Letterboxd. I cannot go as high as those scores. So I definitely might be in the minority on that as far as the audience. Definitely do not align with the critics. But I don't know. Obviously, the official critics, even though I'm supposed to be one of them, they look at things that maybe a normal lover of movies don't necessarily think about when they're watching films. So if they're looking at it from, let's say, cinematography and direction, I didn't really have issues with those sorts of things. Pacing, yes, big issue with the pacing. No issue at all with the acting. Big issue with the story and some of the writing. So, let's see. Bodybuilding is an obsessive activity requiring massive amounts of it. That is absolutely true. And you have to be very dedicated. I know people might consider that to be obsessive, and I guess in some ways I can see that could be an accurate word to describe it, but yeah, it's definitely, I don't, if anyone tries to tell me it really has anything to do with toxic masculinity, that was not what I came away with at all. No, this was about this guy that had mental issues. That seems to be exactly what it was. Oh yeah, thank you, Enigma. Thank you. The audiobook is out on soundbooktheater.com, or you can pick up a copy at Amazon. Yeah, most mental health stories, they're difficult to watch. Joker was difficult, but I really enjoyed Joker because there was something about the way they put that movie together that resonated more with me. Not that I was pulling for him. Some people were. The only time I was pulling for him was when he defended himself on the subway. But the other stuff he did, not really. But it still created this feeling in me that was, I don't know, it worked more than what was going on with this guy's story. It's not a group phenomenon, even though statistical. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes, yes. Yeah, I agree with that. But, you know, I'd be very curious to see what you guys think about it. I really don't believe I'm going to do a review for this. I might do a quick take review, just like a little short review, and log it on Letterboxd or Criticlist and the other places where I post my reviews. Oh, hey, Deleted. I'm just kind of wrapping this one up. I don't have a ton to say about it besides what I've already said. But let me just read the comment here. Normally guys that get into bodybuilding start to get better because it gives them some much required focus. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. If you guys haven't seen Pumping Iron, you should watch it. So that's a good one. That's definitely a more. This was a very dark and dreary and depressing film. It just was, and not really feel good. So I haven't. Oh, you're like, okay, all right. Well, I'm probably gonna be signing off pretty soon. Deleted, because I started at about 10:30, and I don't have a ton more to say other than just interacting with the comments, and I don't think a bunch of comments are going to be coming in. But let me read what you say here. Something like Nightcrawler is an interesting character study. The movie sounds like it may be similar. I had a friend who was a bodybuilder, and he did. Oh, I'm sorry about your friend. I have not seen Nightcrawler because I feel like I know before going into it that I'm not going to like that protagonist. It is really hard for me to enjoy a film with an unlikable protagonist, but I have heard he's good. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I ever will. Joker, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was completely with him on the subway. I did. Okay, the point in that scene where he stepped over the edge was when he chased down the guy that was trying to get away and, did him in. So, that was when you saw that he'd gone over, he'd fallen off the brink or over the edge or whatever. But the what he did leading up to that, it was completely self-defense. They were, I didn't feel a bit sorry for those guys. Yeah, well, weightlifting is good for you, you guys. As you get older, you lose muscle mass, and it's super important to try to keep it on, because the more, that's like one of the best things you can do for yourself as you get older is incorporate weight training into your fitness regimen, because you need those muscles to be able to keep you strong. And so I would say keep it up. I've definitely added more weight work into I used to do heavy weight work a long time ago, but my knees couldn't really handle it. So I work mostly with kettlebells now, and I feel like I'm stronger with kettlebells than I was with typical weights. This might be a good movie. Many people do. Yeah, honestly, you might really, really love it more than I do. Maybe if I mull it over a little bit more, I will have more appreciation for it, but I don't know. These are my initial thoughts, having left the theater. I don't know. When did I leave? Almost 2 hours ago. It ended about 9:15, 9:20 or something like that, because it was 2 hours. It was a 2 hour. Yeah, the movie started after 7:20, like maybe 7:22, 7:23, and it was over 9:15, 9:20. So it was long, y'all. It was long. That's a long time to be in a dark mood. So, okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I know this was a short one compared to what we do on our other streams, but I honestly don't have more to say about it at this point. Thank you so much to everyone who joined. I honestly did not expect it. Here we go. Got another comment. Hold on. I want to answer all comments before I leave. I started lifting recently because need to maintain my yes. Reduce my working hours to long hours for 30 years. Yeah, that can be rough, but keep up with the lifting. And also another thing, I forgot to add this. most people don't eat enough protein, so that's super important. And creatine is supposed to be good. I take creatine. I can't tell what it does for me, but I heard it's supposed to be really good. So maybe take creatine. Wrestler was the last one. I did not see The Wrestler because that sounded really depressing to me. I will say it doesn't end as 100% dark as I thought it would. That's why I mentioned I would have liked to have seen a little bit more after this point. So I was left unfulfilled at the end as far as the future, trajectory of his character. But by then it was so long, I was kind of ready for it to be over. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for joining. I didn't expect as many people showed up. I see that I got 11, which is not a small number for me, because I don't pull really big numbers when I live stream. So this almost impromptu live stream ended up better than I thought it did. Than I thought it would. Or eggs to keep them. Yeah. Eggs are? I didn't know. I didn't know that. I eat plenty of eggs too. Sometimes like 3 a day. I like eggs. They're good, especially if you mix them with cottage cheese. That's really tasty. Cottage cheese and eggs, super good. Or sour cream and butter, very, very good. Okay, all right. Bye everybody, and thank you very, very much. I hope you, 216, that's good. That's good. You should aim for a gram of your current body weight or a gram per goal body weight. So that's kind of just ballparky. And of course, as I'm getting ready to wrap up, more people are jumping in. Anyway, I hope you guys kind of like my breakdown of it. I wish I could have felt a little bit more positively about it, but like I said, it probably is worth it, at least just to watch his performance. He was solid in here, in my opinion. So, all right, good night, JPRPH1. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll be doing a live stream on Wednesday with Sound Booth Theater. I forgot to mention that. We're going to be talking about Red Line, Lord of the Rings from 1970, whenever, and Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. I will be casting that to my channel as well. And also we'll be trying to put up a review for Novocaine at some point this week. And I have a review up for The Rule of Jenny Penn, which came out over the weekend. So that's the latest going on with my channel. I don't have anything else right now. So I'm definitely ending the stream now. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. Stay well. Bye.